Welcome back, AlphaStar fans. Welcome to another Alpha Cast here on YouTube. This is one of the older replays. This is not from the recent slew of agents that have been encountering the pro players. We go back to the Joe players, but this is okay, and we'll see how this goes. To the top left side of the map, this guy actually has a record of hitting AlphaStar 2 times on the ladder. Minimum, it's the red Protoss. HolyHit! And his opponent to the lower right, of course, the suspected robot in disguise. It's AlphaStar. A quick little checklist to go through this. Turn the control groups on. All right, control groups for the human. No control groups for the suspected AlphaStar. Let's check the EPM and the APM. For the human, this should be wildly different in numbers. Yes, it is. So for the robot, oh look, they're actually much closer in number. AlphaStar, a lot of people have the impression that AlphaStar will be exactly the same. That's actually not at all the case, but it will be much closer, something that's a lot more difficult to pull off for the human player who always flatlined it at 0. But then APM's at 230, so effective versus active, take from it what you would like. Again, this is one of the older AlphaStars, so it's pretty much well known that this is actually one of the confirmed AlphaStar accounts. But dad joke time. Why is 19 afraid of 20? Because they fought one time and 21. This probe doesn't get too much done, but it's an okay scout. Sees the natural base. He'll probably check the third before he's on his way out, if I had to guess. For AlphaStar, though, going back to the Zerg, the old version of Zerg, let's not forget AlphaStar Zerg plays one way, and that's pretty terribly. Roaches, Ravagers, Brute Force, and Macro, but more to the point, missing a lot of Corrosive Biles. Ends up being the way this plays out for the AI Zerg. But that being said, if there's one race matchup where Brute Force with Roaches and Ravagers succeeds, even in pro play, it's definitely PvZ. So HolyHit's going to be the one. We'll be seeing how he handles this. We know for a fact AlphaStar Zerg can win, but it's definitely not had the best win percentages from what we've been watching. Although I should remind you all that of the original versions of AlphaStar, such as this one here, that each race, Terran, Protoss, Zerg, all played 60 games and all had approximately 53 or so wins per race. So a really good win percentage, frankly. But I mean, all it takes is losing the wrong game for it to really matter, because that's the one that shows up on stream, or in this case, on YouTube. But a pylon block towards the third to be a nuisance, and the Adept comes over in some pretty good timing, so this will delay a third base significantly. Meanwhile, cancel on the pylon, and the probe heads over to the natural base. Fortunately, that's going to be a death. Meanwhile, the Overlord on the other side of the map is ushering its way to the high ground, where it should be safe from the Stalker. But nice damage to push that off out of HolyHit. It's going to be a Stargate opener with an Oracle on the way already. Kind of boosting out probes still while this goes on. Both of the Nexus, actually. So should be able to get that worker count up here pretty quick. Oracles, they're pretty good. But, I mean, if this is going to be something where there's a ton of Lings flooding across the field, this might be something Oracle will have to stay at home for. I cast a pro game not too long ago. PT Drogo versus AlphaStar. Should be linked up here. Again, YouTube stuff, right? Where it was a big Ling all-in, and I believe it was even on King's Cove, and more to the point, it was really awkward. The AlphaStar in that game didn't quite know how to control the Lings, and we saw it really bug out on the ramp when it came to this wall. But I guess the older version of AlphaStar handles that a lot better, because in this case, it knows to target the gateway. And unfortunately, while I don't think it's going to break the wall, HolyHit's doing a really good job of layering behind this to make sure that this doesn't get too far or too out of control. And he is, in fact, going to save the gateway, so at the end of the day, probably just cancel this extra, and be safe and sound. The Oracle's unfortunately out of juice, but it's killed a lot of Zerglings. AlphaStar's also dedicated a lot to this. Unfortunately, doesn't have that third base up, so that lower larva count, plus the lower drone count's not doing it any favors to that 300 minerals it was floating not too long ago. But Spore Crawlers are down at least, and as you see, it's pulled off of gas. I guess it had just intended to go for Ling speed for now. I assumed and thought it was the only version that could go for Roaches, but Lings are definitely something we've seen AlphaStar do, just not very effective, sadly, in either cases. Not versus PT Drogo, and not here versus HolyHit. I keep double checking the control groups. I'm just like expecting to like have them suddenly on, but just to be clear, still control groups for the human player, no control groups for the computer. As the oracles come for a little bit of zippy zap action, that's going to be a drone or two taken out pretty quick, actually. And while this game hasn't really been a lot about the work or kills, these have been pretty good trades for HolyHit so far. And the fact that that second oracle lived was a pretty valuable escape, actually. Oracles play a huge role in the rest of the game, whether it's through revelation or, more importantly, stasis wards. There's a lot of ways that you can really use these outside of just trying to blitz a couple of workers down. Now, there's a warp prism over yonder, perhaps waiting to go in and warp in. We'll see. Third base is pretty well protected. I like the SimCity out of HolyHit, so this gets scouted out of AlphaStar and says, nope. So it's the back on out of there. And there's that Roach one we expect to see. But again, this has been a very different game than what has been conventionally done through AlphaStar, at least in the games we've cast of it so far. So I'm curious just how much of a dedication Roaches will or won't be in this one. Observer also scouting the third base down here. Well, that's interesting. This EPM for AlphaStar is not matching up the same way. But the thing is, this is an account we've pretty much... Whoops, excuse me. This replay comes directly from an account we've already verified as AlphaStar, so it's not like, oh, Riff, can you just grab the wrong barcode? This is something that has been widely accepted as AlphaStar, so... I'm not sure what's going on with the EPM and APM. Can't really explain that one, but like all cases of StarCraft 2, not everything is consistent. I will say, though, that while these numbers are wildly different than even the ones down here... it's still more consistent for the AlphaStar player. Yeah, look at this. See, it's a lot more effective now, or a lot similar than it was for HolyHit through that. I guess maybe it just got different actions that get relayed through its however its mouse clicks work, because AlphaStar doesn't have a mouse. I guess in battle versus not in battle. Like right now, we know it's idling a little bit, so is that number going to be vastly different? Yes. Okay, so that... I think you know what this is. I think I can actually just straight up explain this away, because you'll notice it's also not matching that number down here. There's an issue where when we cast TLO and several other Zerg players, you'll see the APM shoot up through the roof, like in the thousands. And a lot of the time that has to do with just simply larva morphing counts differently towards your actions than if you were to queue up buildings in units in a barracks or otherwise. And so what I'm thinking is happening here is that same bug that inflates TLO's APM is probably influencing why the APM of AlphaStar looks so insane. But then its EPM's still up there too, so maybe never mind. I'm just going to say I don't understand computers and leave it at that. Warp Prism, by the way, about half health does get out of there with the Archons both intact. One of those Archons almost getting popped through that engagement. But third base, lots of gateways. Our human player in this case has got his macro pretty soundly handled back at home. I will say tech's been a little bit off for both sides, as they've both been just fighting with units, where HolyHit's managed to gain a little bit of an advantage through tech, +1 in charge. AlphaStar's managed to take a lot of bases and get a lot of drones. 82 workers. This might actually be the most I've ever seen AlphaStar go, because most of the time AlphaStar is straight up dead in PvZ at this point, but this is perhaps going to be one of those longer games. As the oracles come in from the top side, there's not a lot of opportunity for them to do damage here, but yeah, revelation to detect the creep tumors, cleaning this up is always going to be useful. I mean, an observer's better at that most of the time, but I just want to know he's already placed stasis traps down, so if there's run-bys or counterattacks, it won't be something that will get by so easily without getting punished. What's the actual army count for AlphaStar? 14 roaches is not much. Frankly, I kind of feel like if HolyHit knew about this a little earlier, he may have just A-moved. Because a lot of the army supply right now for AlphaStar is actually in production and not out in field ready to fight. Drones getting pulled away from this. Roaches canceled from Ravagers. HolyHit going for a big attack on the base. Warpin's coming as well. Warp Prism's still alive from earlier, of course, and these Queens getting force filled in. I mean, they're probably not going to be able to focus on that Warp Prism. Meanwhile, 2 Oracles idling down to the southern base. I mean, as long as the drones live, that's what matters the most, but a lot of drones have still died in this game. 51 in total, actually. Holy crap. That explains a big part of why AlphaStar's lacking its army, because for her in this case, it's been making more drones and not making so much army. But now the Ravagers are finally done. Corrosive Biles are not hitting so perfectly. I think it just killed its own Ravager with a Corrosive Bile, but pops off the Archon. The Immortals might start feeling a little insecure because they're on their own. I mean, some of these cocoons are so close to dead, but there we go. Blasting them away. This was a just barely situation for AlphaStar, but having lost a base and a considerable amount of workers, it's not like it got out of here unscathed. Resources lost kind of reflecting that too. But the army supply remains really high, and this looks like, well, how did I get such an advantage? And we go back to the fact that AlphaStar, she's been making a lot of roaches, a lot of ravagers. So in this case, it's kind of inflated supply. I think once more of these things like mutas come into play. Oh, nice stasis ward. A for effort on the corrosive biles. Nice stasis ward, though. Stalls out the attack. And looks like that's actually enough to make AlphaStar go into full retreat. But this is where I was going to get into the Mutalisks, which I find really interesting. Because it's not like 14 or 15 are coming out of one giant flock. This is like 1 or 2 mutas rallied out at a time. We do have Storm coming up here for HolyHit. And I guess for those who get caught off by this, I think it was like 5 or 6 AlphaStar casts ago, the comment section decided AlphaStar should be a female because AlphaStar's sister, AlphaGo, was highly regarded as female because I guess of the style in which it played Go. I didn't follow that. I just followed the comment section. But mutas to the top side. It's only 2. It's really like these mutas at best would chase down the Warp Prism, maybe. Yeah, okay, they'll rid the Warp Prism. Wait, that Warp Prism, like, deleted. Did you get... There was no explosion. No corpse, no nothing. Just gone. You know what? It's a replay. Let's do this. What happened? Hold on. Okay, well, now there was an explosion. Am I crazy? Maybe I'm taking crazy pills. Whatever. Zealots are getting cleaned up, though. The mutas do a pretty good job of this. HolyHit was posturing to move out onto the field while this was going on, and these oracles have had a good eyeball on all these roaches, so intercepting was never going to be an issue. Now look, storms aren't generally going to be that great against roaches just because they've got the health to take the storm damage, but make no mistake, I mean, it's armor piercing because it's a spell, and roaches, of course, even though they have a lot of health, if you storm them once or twice, that might just be enough to take them into one-shot range for these immortals, which, mind you guys, are hitting for 60 a shot against roaches. But the bigger problem, I think, are the Mutalisks right now. There's so many of them and so little anti-air. Phoenixes are starting to be produced as we see, but, I mean, ooh... This is a problem. I think this might be the first time I've ever seen AlphaStar use mutas, so I'm really curious to see how it dances around the Phoenix. Meanwhile, outside the front gates, looks like a warping comes in to stop this from getting too out of hand, but these mutas are kind of snowballing at this point. 19. Roaches and Ravagers just distracting the Archon, so they can't be brought back to deal with this. Picks off another Warp Prism. Stalker's kind of idling in the main. Probes just being shuffled around. This is chaos all over the place. And this all works out so much better for AlphaStar because while this is going on, back on the other side of the field, we have expansions going down. You can see that by the mini-map here. More roaches coming out. That's going to be great. Worker count for the probes now down to 55. You know, it was like, what, 51 to like 5 earlier. Now the worker kill count's starting to look a little bit better. But these pylons are going down. That's depowering all the gateways, the reinforcements. The Phoenix have been kind of hiding in the corner, bulking up. In a perfect world, even against AlphaStar, Phoenixes outrange mutas, so you should hypothetically be able to clean this up, but there's always instances of lag, player error, so unfortunately you do see some of these Phoenix dying to the mutas, but they are generally going to be doing so much damage that you'll kill 2 or 3 mutas for the cost of a Phoenix. It's not that bad of a trade. And we consider AlphaStar had come into this battle with a significant count of mutas. Has lost about 7 so far to like 3 or 4 Phoenix. That's not bad. It looks like there's a small recall from the front lines, bringing some of these units back home. Unfortunately, the Immortal will be of no assistance here, but the Archon, if it can just get even like 1 or 2 shots, just splash damage alone kills the Overseer. Roaches to the top side, though. I mean, at the same time, there's nothing at home to defend, and this might be our very first base trade on Base Trade TV featuring AlphaStar. But that being said, whether that is the case or not, the Immortals and Archons are so few in number, but so high in damage, I don't know if they win the race part of this. The trade part of it's there, but is the race going to work out well for the Zerg or for the Protoss? I mean, in any normal situation, mutas really do instigate a nice base trade and pro play, but again, this isn't a pro, this is AlphaStar, so I'm not sure how these tactics are. I know there's the whole neural network learning thing, but I mean, does it have 15 replays of Bly or Penguin that they're analyzing to gauge how to handle the situation with? I don't know. I legitimately don't know. Mutas, of course, are finally fighting down most of the Phoenix, but the Phoenix have finally, more importantly, cleaned up the mutas, so now HolyHit can focus a little bit more on the roaches. The roaches to the top side did kill more of the probes, but the base still stands. Coming back home, those 3 Archons and 2 Immortals from earlier. 24 kills on the Archon, 55 kills on this Archon! Hello? 14 kills on the Immortal, 15 kills. I mean, these 5 units have been doing all of the damage in this game. Executor. Well-earned title here for the Archon. Meanwhile, I kind of forgot about the Oracles. They've been idling for so long, but I guess they've got 30 kills and 12 kills apiece. What? They've been alive for a majority of this game. I guess that makes sense. Holy crap. But meanwhile, AlphaStar has 28 drones shuffled down to the bottom left. Still mining a little bit off the natural base. It's not doing well, but she's not dead yet. Meanwhile, to the very top side, recovery is underway for HolyHit. I guess no Nexus really died through that attack. A lot of that was like harassment based. Focused more on things like the pylons, picking off some of the probes, but funny enough, there's actually not enough energy on all these Phoenix to lift up all the drones, but there's also no anti-air to fight back against said Phoenix. Creep spreads at a kind of minimum through this too, and well, zippy zappy, zoopy zoopy, this is just my impression of laser beams that are going to destroy AlphaStar at this rate. I mean, the Roach Army really only has one option at this point. Go across the field. Continue the essence of what is a base trade, because bringing these home, bringing these to react does nothing. There's no Zealots. There's no Warp Prism warping units in. I think it's just go time. So, yeah. Nice moves out of AlphaStar. It says go across the field. Phoenixes will lift up some of these, but there's only like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Graviton beams between all this at a quick glance. And there's way more than 7 units in play. That being said, if those... Oh, my God. Let's not forget... I forgot about these badasses. This Archon. Do we just follow the Archon for the rest of the battle? I mean, it's kind of like... This guy's got 58 kills on him. I got to watch this through, but... Archons and Immortals are exactly what you want to have to fight against Roaches. The fear, though, is that there's not many of them. So this amount of Roaches could overwhelm, but I think at this point, AlphaStar is confused. What to do? Zealots warped in over here, got to run back home to defend, but also have to attack because they're not mining correctly. Most of the drones kind of gone. In fact, the worker kill count at this point right up to 96. We're almost at 100 AlphaStar drones dead in a game of StarCraft 2. But between this many sentries and just the Immortals and Archons for DPS alone, the Zealots are just cannon fodder. They're extra damage, but they're mostly just cannon fodder. I really think those Roaches had past tense an opportunity to get in there and do the damage they needed to do, but I think that opportunity is long since gone. And at this point, it's just kind of floundering. Look, she doesn't know where to go. Where'd he go? This is the sound the Roaches make, by the way. Base down here dies to a very small warp-in of units, but still goes down. Now AlphaStar knocked down to 3 hatcheries worth of production. Corruptors, as a result, not a bad idea in terms of dealing with Phoenix, but these needed to come out much earlier. Corruptor Mute is actually a very real composition we see in pro games, and if that had been the case this game, I really think AlphaStar could have run wild, but maybe not quite the case here. Storms go down top of the Roaches. Force Field's locking them in. Oh! If you're Protoss, that felt good. If you're Zerg, that felt really bad. But this Archon's still standing. Where's the Super Archon? 63 kills! 63 kills on this Archon throughout this game of StarCraft 2. That's nuts. And this isn't even like a Warp Prism's keeping it alive forever. Oh my God, walks into its own storm. Its shields are almost gone. Please, do not die. You must finish this game alive and take your story back to Ire and tell everybody what happened when you came up against the Terminator. Give them hope, John Connor. 65 kills. Force fields like shooting fish in a barrel, but no! No, the Archon died! Press F's to pay respect in the comment section down below. GG! The humans fight back! And HolyHit takes the game off of AlphaStar. Thanks for watching the video. If you guys want to see more, make sure to subscribe to the channel and ring that bell for notifications. See you guys on the next one.